Welcome to another episode of Pound for Pound Boxing Report. I'm your host, Michael. Joining me this week, live from San Diego, Gail Falkenthal of Communities Digital News. Live from Taiwan, Sean Newton. Taisha Lacey joining us as well. And live from the Caribbean, Trinidad, What You Need. What's going on, ladies and gents?
Good evening, good evening. Hey, we have to let all the audience in on the fact that we were getting into it so much we forgot we hadn't really started the show. So apologies.
Yeah,
folks,
we was
for
wasting
being late.
we was wasting good conversations before the show, but we're finally here. We're a little bit late, but we're gonna get rocking and rolling right now. For those who are new to the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, the Pound for Pound Boxing Report is a live YouTube show / podcast / blog that discusses all things boxing. The motto is: when boxing is good, we will talk about it. When boxing is bad, we will talk about it. The bottom line is, if it concerns boxing, we will talk about it. If you want to find more information about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, just check out the blog page, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com, and repeat that, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com, where you will find articles and videos and all things boxing on there, written by yours truly, as well as Gail Falkenthal and also Kayla M. Lewis, KBC Live on YouTube G+. If you check the right of the blog page, you will find links where to find it. Somebody needs to mute their mic. Okay. If you want to find information about the Pound for Pound Boxing Report, where you can find us all over social media, just check the right of the page. Provide links to find the P4P Boxing Report on Facebook, the 2G Plus pages, on Tumblr, on Podomatic, where you can find all previous episodes of the podcast, on YouTube, where you can check out the live YouTube show. On Pinterest, we got a Pinterest board, the RSS feed if you want to subscribe there and check us out. On Stitcher Radio, just go to stitcherradio.com or just do a search of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. That's P-O-U-N-D, the number 4, P-O-U-N-D, Boxing Report. We're also on Flipboard Magazine. Just go to flipboard.com, check out the online magazine. Again, P-O-U-N-D, the number 4, P-O-U-N-D, Boxing Report, if you want to check us out there. And lastly, we'll go also the email address. You can find where you can email the show, p4pboxingrpt@gmail.com. Lastly, got a link to where you can donate your account, be a friend, be a pal, be a buddy. Donate your Twitter account. The link for that is donateyouraccount.com/P4P Boxing Report. What happens is any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page, your Twitter account will automatically be able to retweet any tweet that comes from the Pound for Pound Boxing Report Twitter page, excuse me. Let's get the show started this evening by doing a recap of what went down last week. The main bout that happened last week on HBO, doubleheader on HBO, headline Sergey Kovalev scoring an easy stoppage over Nadjib Mohammadi, excuse me if I pronounce his name wrong, Nadjib Mohammadi, excuse me, 3-round stoppage by Kovalev, easy work. Kovalev got up to a little bit of a slow start, just testing things out, just seeing what he could do, but he stepped on the gas in round 2, finished him off in round 3. More than the fight itself, the big news it is about was news of Kovalev's future after the bout. I've been hearing on Twitter a possible rematch against Pascal, who fought on the undercard and scored a win, which I thought he didn't deserve. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. But also an interesting note, the possibility of Kovalev fighting Arthur Beterbiev. Tweets popped up immediately after the fight about a possible fight in Russia against Beterbiev. Kathy Duva saying that they're going to make Beterbiev an offer. As of right now, I don't think Beterbiev's camp has accepted the offer, but we will see. I will go to you on this one. I'll go to you on this one, what you need. Your analysis of the fight, break down the fight for us. Easy win for Kovalev, as well as the future for Sergey Kovalev.
All right. For me, I was really impressed with certain aspects of Kovalev's game that I see additional things. He sits into the stance more. You know, he's more bent into his stance. I love that. You know, David Jackson now got him kind of fighting more Western than Eastern, not so stand-up tall anymore. And the other thing I like about what he did, you know, besides the jab that he used, was that he was moving around the ring, to me, a lot better as well, maintaining distance against this guy. So, of course, Nadjib Mohammadi, he was trying to use his jab, get on the inside of Kovalev, and counter him. So when he threw the jab, he tried to counter over the jab with his right. But to me, Kovalev did a great job of actually pivoting out the way and then, using his jab on Mohammadi, going low, going high with the jab. I thought it was nice what he was doing. I even saw him use a spare jab when he pivoted, which was pretty nice too. And yep, the overhand right was the thing that kicked on catching Mohammadi. He was open for that all night, and he, whenever Kovalev wanted to land that overhand right, he got it on him. I love also that he followed up with the jab, and he wasn't loading up. So even when he landed the overhand right, he would end whatever combination he ends it with the jab. That's how he caught Mohammadi in the third round. So even after hitting him with the overhand right, pow, he then finishes it off with the jab to make sure that Mohammadi doesn't throw anything back. So Kovalev's getting really defensively and technically, even better than he was before. These things I look at, and John David Jackson's doing an excellent job with him, man. You can see he's putting in the work, and he's not loading up on the shots, So it's natural to just get those combinations off. And he was actually faster to me. He was also slightly faster. So I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the performance. I know it was a mismatch, but I don't know. My opinion, Adonis Stevenson does not beat him at this point. I think he's got a little bit more variation in his game now than before. I'm talking about boxing. I'm not talking about in terms of power. I'm talking about boxing. I don't think Adonis can outbox him right now. He looks sharper too. So I don't know, man. Kovalev's looking better and better. That's all I gotta say on him.
Your thoughts, Ty? Go ahead. Go ahead. What you need? I'm sorry.
And future fights like rematch with Pascal. I don't really want to see a rematch anymore. Seeing what happened with Pascal versus Gonzalez, it doesn't really impress me. But if that's what they want to do, fine. Beterbiev, that would be an interesting match. Now I know Beterbiev is still growing as a fighter as well, but Beterbiev, he also can box quite well, and he's very intelligent. The only problem I have is he still gets hit, to me, a little too much. That's my problem. But other than that, very strong, very smart. I would love to see that fight. So I wouldn't say no to that any day, any time.
Taisha, if you unmute your mic, because I'm going to you, please. I should also mention Andre Ward. I know after the fight, Max Kellerman and whatnot was mentioning Andre Ward.
He shouldn't fight. He shouldn't fight Andre Ward though. Not right now. But it's up to him. It's up to him if he wants to. I heard John David Jackson say there are 4 things that he sees in Andre Ward's game, but believe you me, those things are traps. I know what he's talking about, but they're really traps. They'll sucker you into Ward is just, he's a very complicated dude. When he fights, there's a lot of things he does in that ring. I don't think Kovalev's ready for that. But hey, if they wanna go up against Andre Ward, that'd be cool. I mean, I know he's gonna fight him next year. So
yeah, but that's a long-term fight they're talking about at the end of 2016. But I'll go to you on Taisha. Your thoughts on the fight as well as the future of this fight with Mohammadi as well as the future of Kovalev.
Okay, like you said, we all knew that it was a mismatch fight. What I saw was a more complete and sound fighter in Kovalev. Pretty sad that he broke homeboy's face like that. Kind of shed a tear for old buddy, but my thing here is I didn't. I'm just lying. But my thing here is the longer Adonis waits, the more trouble he's gonna be in, because Kovalev is growing. He's becoming more ring intelligent, and damn, I can't think of the dude's name. His trainer Jackson.
John David Jackson.
Okay, yeah. Jackson is turning a bad man into a bad motherfucking man. You understand what I'm saying? Because, like he said, Kovalev was in there. He could have dispersed Mohammadi, or I can't pronounce his name. Could have beat him down probably in like the first or second round. But he displayed for us something that we hadn't really seen in Kovalev, like the jabbing, the composure. Like he was also doing some bitch shit too, like with the how he was roughhousing him, but you know that's just his attitude. But I think the longer
He's a bully.
huh? Yeah, he's a bully. He's a bully, but I mean, he has the power for it. I mean, like we said, it was a mismatch. But like I said, the more Adonis waits and ducks this fight or avoids this fight, excuse me, um, that I just think it's just gonna be it's you know what I'm trying to say here. Fuck, I can't get it out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to I'm not looking forward to seeing him fight Jean Pascal again. I don't want to see him fight the Arthur Beterbiev, or how you pronounce his name. I don't want to see that fight. I'm interested in a Ward fight, but I'm so tired of hearing about it that it's like it's not a full appetizing plate yet. So I don't know who the hell he can fight right now that will, you know, make him dig deeper than what he has been digging deep for right now. But I don't want to see those three fights right now. They don't interest me at all. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Kovalev and poor Ginobili.
I'll go to you, Sean, and then you can follow up, Gail. Your thoughts on the fight as well as the future of Kovalev.
Oh, it was a great fight. You know, I mean, obviously, Mohammadi is, you know, the B side, and everybody expects him to get KO'd. But you have to love Kovalev's attitude. You know, he's Tyson-esque in his "I will kill you" attitude. You know, he said he wanted to break his nose, and you know that was one of his goals in the fight. And then he just went in there and boom, snapped it with a, you know, jab to follow up like his combination. You know, he's a bad man. And I mean, I think a fight in Russia against Beterbiev will be great. I mean, Beterbiev has 2 wins against him in the amateurs. They don't like each other. There's general hostility. You know, a lot of these Russian fighters, I mean, you know, they get a lot of hate in the U.S., like GGG and Kovalev. But they have a whole country that supports them that we don't really hear anything from just because, you know, different language, different culture, whatever it may be. So that fight going back to Russia would be a huge success financially for both of them. I mean, you know, Russia's a huge country, and with 2 of their best fighters at 175 meeting up, it will be a barn burner. And Beterbiev, man, he's a strong fighter, tough, it's hard. I mean, of course, we know that Kovalev is the more skilled fighter, and I mean, he's really developed really well. And he's shown that his game is diverse, and he's got all the tools, which is why a Ward fight would be great. But I mean, we know that fight ain't ready yet. I mean, Ward, he's still not even sure if he wants to go up to 175. So don't be surprised to see him try to pull Kovalev down to like a catchweight, which would be ironic. But nonetheless, you know, a great fight prior to that would be Beterbiev, and then Ward can get a fight with somebody at 168, you know, get like a little more in the flow after sitting out for a couple of years, push his name a little more, and then have a big super fight between those 2 guys. I mean, Beterbiev fight is going to be great. I mean, what other fight at 175 is going to be as intriguing as that? That is the GGG David Lemieux fight. I mean, of course we can criticize the guy and say that he's only had 9 fights and he's easy to hit, but he's fought top caliber guys and walked right through them easily, like a hot knife through butter. So we will see if he can do that against the guy he beat twice in the amateurs.
Gail?
Yeah, and to the point of his record, yeah, he's got 9 fights. We're all excited about a guy named Vasyl Lomachenko who's had less than that. These guys have very deep amateur backgrounds. You just alluded to the fact that he's fought Sergey before. So record aside, as a professional, it's a great match. It's good for boxing because of the excitement value, the staging in Moscow, and Europeans know how to put on a show. If you've watched any ring walks, staging is great. The fans base is huge. It's all good. And you know, the other nice thing about this is, you know, even though you know, Beterbiev is a Heyman guy, his manager Yvon Michel and Main Events have a fairly good relationship, and Yvon Michel has a very good relationship with HBO. So HBO is saying, yeah, well, we said we were going to freeze out all of Heyman's fighters, but yeah, we're going to make an exception for this one. I like that little bit of a thaw in this cold boxing war. So if the fight gets staged, it comes off well, it makes everyone money, that leads us down the road to some other possibilities that we couldn't have imagined before. So I'm just liking everything about this. Kovalev, to Taisha's point, yeah, he's a badass motherfucker. There's just no way around it. He did an interview a couple days ago with some Russian writers. It's published on boxingscene.com. Shout out to them. Very interesting Q&A. And he's just vicious in his comments. I mean, he's already won the fight, and his comments are still vicious. And I'll share a few of them with you. He says, I don't study my opponents precisely. I just need a couple of rounds to understand my rival's style, movement, manner of fighting, and also his faults. It takes me 5 minutes to understand this. In the fight, it's all the same. And then he says, I rocked him with the first shot, then landed 2 less meaningful punches, and then dropped him with the right. I told him, come on, get up. You're the world champion, aren't you? I was feeling emotional. I wished I could box more, but I was overplaying it a bit because my main goal was to break his nose, but instead I damaged his eye. And then at the end he says, yeah, it was just another short sparring session only to rest a bit after and go home. So, yeah, he's a tough dude. He also mentioned something interesting, that for this fight, he has really cleaned up his diet. I think he's got a nutritionist working with him. And he said he made the weight with absolute ease. He had meals that day, drank a lot of water, which he doesn't always do, and admitted that he had real trouble making weight for the Pascal fight, which may be, part of the reason that there was a bit of a challenge to him there. He said he was lacked a little sharpness because he hadn't been eating or drinking for 2 days before that fight. So that's an interesting piece of information. So I think Kovalev, Kathy Duva is doing all the right things with Kovalev, and yeah, the longer Stevenson waits to get in the ring with him, the worse it's going to be when it happens. Not good.
I hear what you're saying about Stevenson, and agree with you to a certain point. But for me, before the Beterbiev fight and the possible fight with Andre Ward, the Stevenson fight with Kovalev, it needs to happen to complete both fighters, because I want to see who is unequivocally that guy at 175. I mean, say what you want about Stevenson. Yes, he's flawed. He's somewhat limited in his attack, but he's still the lineal champ, and he gives Kovalev the most dangerous. He's Kovalev's most dangerous opposition right now. Beterbiev is not. There's not another light heavyweight that I see right now that's close to Kovalev. Stevenson is the guy. The fight needs to be made, and my frustration comes in is that the BS going around among both camps, a battle of egos right now, that the fight that's causing the fight to not happen, and it should happen. So for me, before we talk about any of these other fights, still in my eye, Kovalev, Stevenson, it should happen. Period.
But this goes back to what Gail said. I mean, having the Beterbiev fight before might actually open the door for the Stevenson fight, because it might open up relationships between HBO and Heyman. Because Beterbiev, he doesn't have a tough contract like some other fighters have, so he has a little more freedom. Like Duva already sent his people like an offer, and his people said it was a good start, and I'm going on vacation, and when I get back, I will talk to Beterbiev, and then we will get back to Duva. So the paperwork and everything has been handed out, and they're just trying to iron out all the ins and outs of the fight. And in this fight, it seems like Heyman is just an advisor. He doesn't have that much play in it, so it's easy to make. And at this point, Beterbiev is not a mandatory, so it's easy to put on HBO because he wants the fight, so he needs to give everything to take it. Whereas once he becomes mandatory, Heyman can then buy the what do you call it? When the fight goes up and people can bid on it.
The purse.
Purse bid.
The purse.
So once it goes to purse bid, then Heyman is going to he's not a promoter, but he's still going to offer more money.
Actually, the truth of the matter is that Adonis Stevenson has a contract with Showtime, and Kovalev has a contract with HBO. That's what's preventing the networks from working together. It could be like a Mayweather versus Pascal, whereas Beterbiev, he's a much more freer guy. He doesn't have that contract with the networks. He's a PBC. He did a fight on PBC, I believe, but he doesn't really have a contract with Showtime. So that's the reason why he's free. It has nothing to do with Al Heyman. It has nothing to do with his managers. It has to do with he has more freedom because he's not obligated to a network.
But my pushback is what you need. HBO and Showtime have come together to make fights before. This is when you look at this fight. This is one of the top 5 fights in boxing. Period. It may
but the thing is, you got to remember those networks now. First it's the fighters, and then next, like with Mayweather and Pacquiao, you got to get now the networks to work together in one accord to be able to get this thing to go up. So you're talking about, remember, you're talking about fighters and then networks. So that's what makes it a little bit more of a challenge. That's why they're trying to go via purse bid. Kovalev's team was trying to get a purse bid going to see if they could get that Stevenson fight. They were trying to pursue it that way.
Right.
I'll tell you what it. Oh, sorry, Gail. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but you know, these guys, when there's money to be made, they figure out a way to do business.
Right.
They can figure it out, and there is a lot of money and interest in this. And now that we have the flexibility of all of those other networks showing fights, thank you, Al Heyman.
Oh God.
Got a lot of options. Got a lot of options. And remember, we're only talking about what happens in the United States. This is a fighter with a huge fan base in Canada and elsewhere, and a fighter with a huge fan base in Europe. So we tend to think very America-centric, but we are not the only game in town. So this is a worldwide fight of interest. They will figure out a way to make it happen.
Of course, but what I'm saying is, with any two superstars, when you start to have superstars, you got egos. That's why Canelo Cotto, it isn't absolutely finalized up to this point, right? We don't have an absolute yes yet from both camps. You're talking about two big guys. So when you have two big guys, and then you have two big networks, and then you're gonna get these kinds of things happening.
Sure,
and
but we've got a lot of time to work it out.
And they'll brew it, and they'll brew this thing until they.
The stumbling block is Stevenson's willingness to get in the ring.
No, I disagree. But what I would say is, when you have two big characters like that, they're gonna play the public until they can make as much money as they can make off of that thing. Because if you can get more money in the pot, remember, it's the networks got to get paid, the fighters got to get paid, the promotional companies got to get paid. So yeah, they'll hold it out. They'll drag this thing out as long as they can to get as much money out of it.
You want to say something?
I agree with you, but Taisha's point, the show life is going to be over.
Yeah, you was wanting to say something, Taisha. You sound a little annoyed there.
It's not that I'm annoyed. It's just that the point is that I don't think, like you said, it's the BS that's going on in the camps. What I think what's going on here is that, like he said, they're playing the public. They're going to drag this out so it can be like the whole May Pac thing. You understand what I'm saying? Because it is the big fight that we want to see at this weight class. It is the 175 big ass fight that everybody wants to see. So why not drag it out? Why not play the whole, this guy's ego, blah blah blah? They're going to drag it out. It's not going to happen this year. It might not happen next year. It's going to be to the pack where we're all on Twitter bitching, whining, and moaning that the fight's not happening. Oh, he's ducking this person, or this person's ducking this person, and then it's going to happen, and then it's going to be a fucking shit fest, and then everybody's going to complain just like Maypac did. And we're going to be all disappointed. So I don't think it's anything with the fact that, Showtime can't do this, HBO can't do this. Motherfucker, you own the company. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Boxers fight, you make the fight, you pay them to fight, do it.
Yes, Stevenson turns 38 the end of September. You know, clock's ticking for him. He can't wait 2 years.
I mean, even if he wait 2 years, it's going to be like, oh, it's because he's old now. He's not in his prime. So it's going to be an excuse. We're never going to get these fighters in their prime or when they're fucking fresh so we can see who was the better man at that point, because they're fucking waiting forever. Why do they wait forever? That's what's frustrating. We're never going to know who was the cream of the fucking crop because you go, oh, father time, blah, blah, blah. His knees were shot, blah, blah, blah. Jesus fucking Christ.
I wish you'd speak your mind, woman.
Now, respect to Stevenson. I'm not disrespecting Stevenson. I respect him. I don't think he ducked Kovalev or anything like that. But I'm saying I think Kovalev is the cream of the crop there. Just like how I think GGG is the cream of the crop at middleweight. And that's just it. That's what I think. That's my opinion. I'm not, trying to stump on Stevenson. I think he's really good too. But when I look at the matchup skill-wise, I think Kovalev has more to bring to the table than Stevenson.
Oh, absolutely.
We all do. That's why we want to see Stevenson get punched in the fucking face. That's the whole point. We're not here to see him fucking fight for real. We just want to see him get punched in the fucking face and get KO'd. That's the whole big thing here. Nobody cares if Adonis is, it could be the biggest mismatch in the world. We just want to see him get punched in the fucking mouth.
I don't think it would be a mismatch. I'm just telling y'all now. I don't think.
I'm not saying that it's a mismatch. I said we wouldn't care if it was a mismatch. That's what I'm saying. We just want to see him get punched really bad. Is my point.
But until then, you know what? You do dance with whoever you can. Beterbiev is just a great idea for a lot of reasons, and it does set up some nice possibilities if it goes well. It's going to grease the skids for the potential for, cracking open this problem.
Yeah, I think Beterbiev's a little too green, but I think Beterbiev, you guys, Kovalev don't have that great an inside game. Beterbiev has an inside game, folks.
Yeah, we know this, but who else does he fight at right now? Like to draw an attraction.
I'm totally.
Yeah, I know you're with it. I'm asking you a question, as from your expertise. Who else, if not Beterbiev, who else can Kovalev fight to hold our attention?
Well, you just added the key to hold our attention.
Yeah, I'm talking about to hold our attention, to bring the eyes to the network, to people want to watch this fight. Who does he fight?
Well, the problem is that as far as opponents, that's a tough one because the names aren't real well known. But you get around that by the excitement of the Russian Moscow setting, and so the name is slightly less important there because of the meaningfulness of it.
They know Beterbiev back there.
Yeah, they know him. It'll be intriguing even to people who don't know him to have this Russian on Russian matchup. Only Sergey's third fight since turning professional back in his home country. Sergey's lived in L.A. a long time now. He lives in Venice. And it'll be good for him to go home and say hi to the fans and, it'll be a blockbuster back there. So, absolutely great for them.
Everybody saw BB fight on PBC, right? I mean, every home in America that
Beterbiev is just mowing down everybody. I mean,
right? They saw him fight. So his name is not like we don't know who he is. Like his name is there, but I'm saying if that fight cannot be made for whatever reason because he's with Joe Billy Bob's Productions. I mean, if that fight can't be made, who else will bring an attraction with him?
That's why I want the Stevenson fight to happen sooner than later.
Fonfora is good because he just beat Chavez. So
yeah,
Sean's trying to speak here. Sean's trying to speak here.
We know Chavez. That's the name.
Oh, no, you know what? You are getting muted. You're trolling right now. You're being muted, guy. What the hell?
I'm calling him now the fighter who must not be named because I'm not going to say his name.
The fighter formerly known as.
That's
pretty
right.
Much.
Other than that, you have Fonfara. Isaac Chilumba, I think, would be a good fight, but he's absolutely not known. So, you run out of names after that.
I hear you.
Yep, Edwin Rodriguez.
No.
The problem is that the Adonis Stevenson fight needs to happen. We want to see him fight BB, and we want to see him fight Adonis Stevenson. Like you said, Ward is 168. We don't know when he's going to feel comfortable to move up, so people really need to stop talking about that fight. Let that man fight at the weight class that he's fighting at, what he's comfortable at. Just leave it be.
I mean, come on, folks. There are weight classes for a reason, and everybody needs to start grasping that again.
Exactly.
I also see that Butte's on the comeback.
No, he still has much to prove.
What is with all the trolling tonight? Oh my God, we got this one saying thank you Al Heyman, this one talking about Chavez, and you talking about booty. What the hell?
I said Butte, man.
And I said booty.
The girl said booty. He's gonna have his booty kicked.
Let's move on and talk about the probably the most controversial fight of the weekend. Jean Pascal scoring unanimous decision win over Yunieski Gonzalez 96-93 on all 23 scorecards. For me, I look at the fight and I thought Gonzalez won. I love the way he used the jab. He looked to be the bigger, stronger guy in there. He's landed the more hurtful punches in there. He had Pascal on the back foot all night long, really controlling the bile, really setting the pace. He surprised me personally. I didn't think he would perform that well. I'll go to you on this one, Sean. Your analysis of the fight, and answer this question for me. Do you think that this was a case of Gonzalez being better than we all thought? Or do you think that it was A, Pascal underestimating his opponent, or B, which is even more troublesome, do you think that this fight is a sign of Pascal showing some slippage?
All three. I mean, Pascal's been slipping for years. That's no big deal. I mean, everybody's seen that. I mean, a guy who only fights in spots, doesn't have the energy to go very far. I mean, you know. And this guy who nobody knew, who had more to his game than we expected. I mean, this guy was fighting for his career, fighting for his life, and he brought the heart to the fight that he needed. And it's a shame that he didn't get the victory. But I mean, you know, he definitely deserves a rematch. So hopefully we'll see that sometime soon. And then it will give Pascal a chance to come in a little more determined and focused, and we'll see really what he has left at this point of his career. I mean, you know, he's an older fighter. He's getting a lot of these fights based on his history and his name, not because of what he's been doing recently. So, you know, this is a chance for him to prove that he deserves a fight with Stevenson or a rematch with Kovalev.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And as far as, I mean, this young guy, I mean, this fight didn't hurt him. I mean, this fight, all this controversy helps him. Because if he would have beat him, people would have just thought, oh, Pascal's done. He lost to some no-name guy. And that would have been it. But having this big controversy surrounding it and everybody questioning it, making videos and commenting on how terrible it was, I mean, it's putting his name out there. It's going to give him far more PR than he would have got any other way. So actually, it's a win-win. I mean, Pascal now has a fight that he can aim for because, I mean, you know, we know that Kovalev was going to fight in Russia his next fight, regardless of who he's fighting. His next fight is going to be in Russia, and Pascal wasn't going to go there. So obviously, a rematch with Kovalev would be down the road in 2016. So this gives him a fight preceding that, a fight to get sharp, a money fight. You know, he can bring that fight to Montreal, and it's good for both of those guys.
I'll go to you on this one, Ty. You should unmute your mic, please. Last week, we was rather dismissive, somewhat dismissive of Yunieski because we didn't know much about him, and you were saying that if Yunieski would win, we would be on here basically doing an LOL. Well, it almost happened. Well, should I say it should have happened, except that Yunieski didn't get the decision that he deserved.
Correct, and I do think that YG won very convincingly. I think the judges definitely got that wrong. Pascal, I think he underestimated the young boy. B, I think we underestimated him because we didn't know who he was or what he was about. All we knew that he was a Cuban fighter, and that's the only thing that we were going off of. I honestly felt as though Pascal should have, you know, had his way with him like Kovalev did with I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce his name. Mohammadi. Thank you, Mohammadi. But that wasn't the case. It turned out to be a great fucking fight. I don't know who the kid is, but he definitely found a fan in me. I was a little, I don't know. I don't want to say hurt, but I was really, really invested in his loss because I can see how, like he said, he was fighting for his career, his life, the company that he was with put all they had into this fight because they truly believed that he can beat him, which he did, and they still didn't get the push. That's what bothered me the most, is because this judges are fucking these fighters over with no repercussions. if the judges had some type of repercussions for these fuck-ups, it wouldn't happen as much, I believe. But nothing happens. Like, you have a person giving a fighter who did absolutely fucking nothing, damn near a shutout push. And I'm like, bruh, can you see? Do you need the tweed for your eyes or something, bro? Because you're not watching the same thing we're watching. What is going on here? And it's because, and this is going to continuously happen because there is no punishment for this for these officials. You know what I'm saying? Like, but other than that, I mean, I don't want to get too far off in that, but I definitely think that Gonzalez deserves another fight here. I don't think he should be, punished for him not getting that decision because he won that fight. Everyone knows that he won that fight, and I think he should get a fight immediately. You know what I'm saying? 2 or 3 months down the line, he shouldn't have to wait, a year or two from now or whatever because he's not known. He needs another fight right away, and whoever he fights, he's going to give the same person the same kind of show, and that's what we need. Boxing need that type of excitement because that fight, no one thought that fight was going to be as exciting as it was. It actually saved the night because, like I said, the Kovalev fight was, we all knew what was going to happen there. There was no thrill to that. We was just watching it because we know he goes in there and he destroys people and he gets a KO. That's what we were looking for. But we got an actual exciting boxing match out of Gonzalez Pascal, and no one expecting that. The champion got out-championed in that fight and still won. That's not fair.
Would you want to see a rematch between?
Yeah, of course I would, because I think the same thing will happen again. But I think the young kid will come in and make it more. He wouldn't let it go to the judges' cards this time. I think he would go out there and give it more than what he did. The fact that he was fighting a name probably held him back from going balls to the wall. You understand what I'm saying? Now that he knows that he can take what Pascal gave him, I think he's going to give a little more. So, yes, I do. I would love to see a rematch.
I'm going to...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, finish up.
No, that was it. I was just going to say, and I'm done.
Okay, go ahead. What you need. Continue on to the end of Taisha's point about Gonzalez maybe being a little bit reserved early on. Do you think ultimately that cost him in the end? Because when I look at the fight, I love the way he used the jab. It reminded me of a Mike McCallum jab, a power jab, a Knight Corte jab, a power jab. But the only slight little flaw I saw what you need is that he didn't use it consistently enough. If he would have used it enough, if he would have pumped it all night, he may have gotten a knockdown. He may have got a couple of knockdowns against Pascal, because every time he landed the jab hard, and whether single or double, he hurt him. And then he will follow up with a nice right hand, and then he will immediately go back to holding his hand back up, being responsible defensively. And again, he used that jab to push Pascal back all night long. So talk about the fight, your analysis. Do you agree with the rest of us that Gonzalez should have got the decision here?
Yeah, well, yeah, I believe that he won the fight 96-94, 6 rounds to 4. I also believe that his style is more to me like Glenn Johnson. I think his trainer is actually the trainer of Glenn Johnson, actually, Glenn Johnson's trainer. But what was interesting to me is that he knew when to use the jab, because a lot of times people say you need to pop the jab more. But remember, if you pop the jab too much, the guy's going to expect you to throw the jab, right? So he basically used the jab to close the distance to get in close to Pascal. So that's what he was using that jab for.
Well, what I mean by that, he could have used that offbeat jab. He could have used that kind of herky-jerky, out-of-rhythm jab more often.
Yeah, that's called a shotgun jab.
It still could have got the job done.
Yeah, he was using the shotgun jab to basically locate him and hurt him at the same time, to freeze him up. You understand?
He could have done it at a faster pace, wearing out Pascal more. That's what I mean.
Well, what happens is when he closed the distance on him now, he started to run those body shots and those head shots. But what Pascal would do, because Pascal was a tricky guy too, he would pivot and then he would go low. He'd dip under the shots, So when he tried to land those short chopping hooks on him, he'd keep on missing his head or hitting the back of his head, right? Then he tried to go to the body work and Pascal would counterpunch him. So what he had to do was once he used the shotgun jab and freeze him up, he come over the top with the overhand right if Pascal get freeze up enough. So when he freeze him up, he catch him with the right? And then once he gets on the inside, he work him on the inside. What he needed to do though was he needed to use the pivot to his right or his left so that Pascal couldn't counterpunch him, and then hit him those nice hooks to the body, deep up the center, to the sternum or to the solar plexus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Pascal, when he throws a lot of punches, he kind of leans forward. So.
And the other thing he missed, what they were talking about was he didn't use the uppercut. That was missing. So when Pascal started dip low, he needed to time him and hit him with that uppercut. So those were the shots that kind of didn't seal the deal for him and really get to tag up Pascal and get him to the ropes and then, finish the job. But, other than that, I thought he did well enough. I thought in the middle rounds, Pascal came on, though. Pascal started to realize I need to move more. I need to pivot more. So he started to pivot and sharpshoot him from the outside with the jab. He started using his jab on him. And I think that's what changed the fight. So in the middle rounds, Pascal actually started to come on. And then Gonzalez, he's a tough dude, and he's a huge monster of a man. But when he started to take those shots, Pascal actually started to chop him down a little bit, wear him down a little bit. And you could see that Gonzalez started to push some of the shots. So it was more slapping than it was powerful like in the earlier rounds. So I think that's what kind of changed the fight. Pascal started to use his veteran experience, his timing to sort of, when Gonzalez thought he was set to get in that shotgun jab, Pascal would just pivot out of the way or step out of the way, change range on him. So he couldn't really use that shotgun jab as he was doing earlier on. And then he was a little predictable with his combinations. He'd throw this jab and then he'd come with the straight right, the 1-2 to come inside. He kind of got a little too predictable, and Pascal started to read him and started to change up the game on him. So that's what was going on in that fight. It was very tactical. Both guys are really very intelligent, but I think experience of Pascal got him further, and he's tough too. So his experience and his toughness. What was amazing to me is this guy absorbed every single shot Pascal hit him with, and Pascal can hit hard. Pascal cracks, right? So I was kind of amazed at that. Also, this guy, if he goes up against Kovalev, I don't think, Kovalev is going to just drop this dude. This dude's, he's really solid. So I'm impressed by the guy.
I'll go to you on this one, Gail. Just talk about the fight for a little bit, but talk about the future for these guys. Gonzalez was visibly distraught, in tears after the bout. But I see this bout, Gail, and I look at it, even though Gonzalez lost, he really won. Not just in terms of actually really winning the fight, but in terms of they invested in him. His team invested everything in him in this fight, and I think going forward, he's going to, whether it's a Pascal rematch or whatever, he gave a good impression of the fans. A lot of talk about him on Twitter. He's going to have a future here.
We're a 5-person focus group, and all 5 of us are saying, hell yeah, we want to see him again. And I'll bet you, out of the fight fans who watch, it might not be 100% like it is here, but it's going to be 95% who say, absolutely, we want to see him again. Talent like that, who's appealing, who has a natural constituency, it's tough to find guys like this, and here he is on a silver platter. He got on the radar. That's a huge accomplishment at this stage of a fighter's career, just getting the likes of us and others to be talking about him. Yeah, I think he was on the short end of the stick as far as the decision goes. I don't think it was a highway robbery. I do think it was a close one. If you look at the CompuBox numbers, for example, it's interesting. The actual number of landed punches between Pascal and Gonzalez was very, very close. They landed Gonzalez landed a total of 163 punches, Pascal 154. However, Gonzalez threw 632 total, Pascal threw 397 total. So Pascal was far more accurate. It was a 39% to 26% overall connect percentage. Of jabs, Gonzalez threw 100 more jabs than Pascal did. Very interesting. But he only landed 7 more of them, so he needs to be more accurate if he's going to be that busy. Power punches again, he threw 138 more power punches than Pascal did, but he only landed 2 more. So that's where his coaching team needs to focus. The data never lies, and that's going to tell him, think about how we're going to develop the quality of this guy, not the quantity. Because you don't want to wear yourself out, and that can easily happen. But other than the fact that on paper he did lose and he didn't get the big upset, which would have been the headline of the weekend, he did himself proud. He was clearly emotional. God bless him. He really, really wanted this. I don't like guys that just walk through their careers. We all see fighters that are sort of there. They do their thing. Yeah, it's their job. And they have a very whatever attitude about it. I don't care if you have a whatever attitude if you work for the Department of Motor Vehicles. I do care if you have a whatever attitude in boxing. It's too tough to have a whatever attitude. I like the fact this guy was super emotional, passionate about it. He gave it his all. Everything was on the line. This is one of those guys that leaves his country, his family behind to pursue this, knowing he can make it. And how many of us, after last week's show, in between last Thursday's show and the fight, I thought, I need to know more about this guy. And if you didn't go to YouTube like I did and check out some of his greatest hits and see what kind of knockout power he does have, do yourself a favor and check him out. You're going to be even more excited to see him. And I am sure some smart people in boxing with money are going to approach his managers and say, hey, let's make a deal. Let's make this happen for this guy, and we can all ride. I feel very confident that everything's going to be just fine for Yunieski. So I hope he's recovered from his weekend and looks forward to a bright future.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, if his handlers are smart, he can make a future and make some money also. So Pascal coming off this win, I don't know. It's a question mark as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if he's getting old. I don't know if he just overlooked him or whatnot. I don't know. I have to see him in his next fight. But Gonzalez, he's on the upswinger here. And to Taisha's point, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between these two sometime later on this year, early next year. I wouldn't mind it at all. And it would be a 50-50 fight in terms of who wins. Pascal, I think, will fight better. But this guy, to what you need, this is a big guy. I didn't realize he was that big and that's strong. Yeah. He dwarfed Pascal in that fight.
Well, he did. I don't think Pascal will do this, but it would be a hoot to see them on the Moscow undercard in a rematch. Why not?
It will be interesting. For sure. Let's move forward.
I want to say one
Go
thing.
Ahead,
Pascal,
go ahead.
The younger Pascal that we all know, he was a more reckless dude. He just come at you and throw punches. But I think Pascal under Roy Jones Jr. Has got more cultured, and he's more of a counter-punching kind of guy. So he kind of looks for opportunities to counter you by laying back more. So I think that's what people saw, and they thought that he was losing the fight because he was more on the back foot counter-punching the guy. But if you notice, the guy didn't get him too much to the ropes. He was mostly making the guy circle the ring. So he was actually.
Pascal was far more effective percentage-wise. So, and let's not forget, Pascal took some serious hurt off Kovalev in their last fight. I mean, that guy was down 4 times before he finally, before the fight finally got stopped, and it wasn't because of him. He was on his feet. It was the right thing to do, but yeah, he took a lot of hurt. I can't help but think that had a little to do with it.
I think he took a lot of hurt in this fight too, but he's just one tough son of a gun. But what I say though, I think his fighting style is kind of adjusting to a kind of more of a counter-punching style. So sometimes people think he's aging, but I don't think he's aging per se. I think he's just trying to fight smarter, except he's still getting hit.
Well, and it's the way you extend your career, in those last few years. You don't want to go in there and get pounded. We've been talking offline, some of us earlier in the day, about the potential fight between Brandon Rios and Timothy Bradley Jr. And Bradley, he started his career as a boxer puncher. Then he had a few just flat out just banging fights. I mean, Bradley Provodnikov, no one who ever saw it will forget that. He can't keep doing that stuff. If he wants to last a few more years, he cannot fight like that.
And as an
it's a different story.
Yes, as an aside, I had a bit of a Twitter conversation with former flyweight champion Mark Too Sharp Johnson, and he is worried about Bradley. Not only because he's getting hit more, it's because of the fact that he's also getting hurt.
Yeah.
In the last few fights, as he's getting hit, so he's a little bit concerned about Bradley. He's on a bit of a downswing here. Yeah.
Well, his wife, who's his manager, Monica, only wants him to fight a few more times, and that's it. They've been very smart about their money, and he could retire with honor in a few fights if he chooses wisely and he's smart about it. But you'll see what happens. I think he's got a lot of talent to stay in boxing on the trainer and the strength coach side of things. He's opened his own gym in the Palm Springs area where he lives. That's a great place to fighters to train. It's out of the bright lights. It's isolated enough outside the temptations of L.A. or Vegas. It'd be a good thing for him to pursue.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move forward and unmute your mic, Taisha. This next fight is going to you. Brian Viloria fought in Hollywood over the weekend, scoring in the first round, knocking out Omar Soto in the first round. This is a rematch. I know they fought in 2010, I believe, in the Philippines. Viloria got a decision. I think it was split. I could be wrong on that. If I am, I'm sorry. But this was a no contest. Soto, he didn't offer much. Viloria put him down to a knee, I believe, with a combination, a right-left. Then he dropped him again shortly after that, put him down with a right hand to the head, and then dropped him a third time, I believe, courtesy of a body shot. Not talk about as much about the fight, Taisha, but talk about the future. But a lot of buzz after the fight on Twitter and whatnot about him fighting Roman Gonzalez. And that talk is kind of tempered. As Gonzalez, who will be fighting on the Lemieux Triple G undercard. They're talking about him fighting either Segura or McWilliams Arroyo, though his team, Gonzalez's team, said that a fight with Viloria still could happen. He's still in the picture, but there's also the prospect of him fighting a rematch with Estrada. So talk about the future of Viloria. He lost to Estrada in 2013. The prospect of him fighting a Roman Gonzalez or an Estrada, what you think?
I can honestly say I don't know who this guy is, sadly. I didn't need to do much research on him, and I can't really tell much from the one-round fight that I saw on YouTube. So other than that, I mean, from that fight, he looks like he got some great skills working for him. But other than that, I really don't have much to say because I don't know who he is, and I didn't get a chance to back research on it. So it'd probably be best to go to one of the fellas or either Gail on this one.
Oh, no problem. I will go to you on this one, Sean. Not as much about the fight, Sean, but the future of Brian Viloria. If he were to land the Gonzalez fight, what do you see happening in that possible matchup, as well as the Estrada? I think Estrada would beat him again. I think he's that good. But again, Sean, the future of Brian Viloria, where do you see him going?
Well, I mean, he's had a good career. But like you mentioned in conversation, he's getting a little older. But after the Estrada fight, he took some time off, and now he's coming back. He moved up in weight because obviously he's probably having some weight issues prior to that fight and felt that he could do better if he didn't have to drain himself so much to come down. And now he's rested and he's making a push. I mean, he is a top-level fighter. Can he beat Estrada and Roman Gonzalez? Probably not. But, I mean, is he a competitive fighter? Yeah. I mean, he went 12 rounds with Estrada, who nobody will say is a soft fight. You know, his Roman Gonzalez fight, you know, people still pick and choose who they think won. So, I mean, going 12 rounds with him in a competitive fight early, and like you said, later on he sort of started to get the best of him and break him down, showing his age and just the level between the two of them. But Viloria is a guy who was an Olympic fighter. He's had a great career. He's an American, a small American fighter. And these guys don't get the publicity that they deserve. They don't get the push. He's probably had to do a lot of his fights outside of the States because that's where a lot of the smaller fighters are. And here's a chance for him to fight on HBO in the U.S. against the top guy in boxing, who is considered pound for pound one of the top 5 fighters in the world. You know, it's a great chance for him, and well deserved. And I think based on that alone, he deserves that shot. Because, I mean, he is a name. He's an American. So, if nothing else, he will be able to take this platform and sell it. And it's good to be. It's good for Roman Gonzalez because, I mean, he doesn't speak English, and here's an opportunity for his opposition to sort of sell the fight because he's American, and to get more people interested in watching it because they can relate to this little guy a little more. You know, he's got the good nickname Hawaiian Punch, and we know that he's a tough fighter, and he brings it. And this guy he beat, this is a rematch. I mean, they fought before, and that fight went the distance. So, I mean, him coming in at the little bigger weight and, you know, stopping that guy in 1 round shows that maybe he is sort of re-energized and his gas tank is full again, and that he has something to bring. So, I mean, I hope it's the Viloria fight. I mean, the other fights, it doesn't matter. Whoever Roman Gonzalez fights, I'll be happy for. But, I mean, just as far as a guy who deserves a fight, I think Viloria deserves this platform, and I think it'd be great.
Here's the thing, what you need. Viloria has always been what you need, a guy who, whenever the chips are down and he's been the underdog, he always steps up. But as I said before, you can unmute your mic. As I said before, what you need, before the show, my problem is the age. And can he step it up one more time? And in terms of the contrast between Estrada and versus a Roman Gonzalez, actually, if you really look at it skill-wise, because of Viloria's movement, because of his hand speed, because of his ability to time and pot shot guys, he would stand a decent chance against Gonzalez, but I just think the fact that he's a little bit too inconsistent in the age and the power of Gonzalez would be too much. The problem with me and Estrada, the problem with the Estrada fight, Estrada can do everything that Viloria can do against him, but he's more consistent, he's taller, and he's longer, and he's younger. And I think, just for me, Estrada, he would beat him again, and he would beat him much easier. So going forward for Viloria, what you think?
Well, the thing about Viloria is he's a boxer. He's a real boxer, and he's proven it time and time again. His record. So the thing with his style, I mean, he does take some punches, but very rarely are they clean punches. I mean, when he fought against what's the guy that Gonzalez beat recently?
Sosa.
Sosa, right? When he fought Sosa, I mean, Sosa was determined, but Viloria was still hanging in there with him. You know what I mean? And the thing about Viloria is you don't really hit him, even though it looks like you're hitting him clean, you don't really hit him clean. He kind of rolls with the shot. So against Roman Gonzalez, it's going to be interesting. What we can do is we could compare Gonzalez's performance against Estrada because they're supposed to rematch anyway. So let's see if Gonzalez can handle. It would tell us something about what would happen if Gonzalez was to face Estrada again, you know, because the first encounter to me was a close one, and on second look, I thought Estrada won that fight. So, I mean, it would be interesting to see what Viloria would do to Gonzalez. I mean, he is a powerful puncher, but it's not like Viloria's ever been stopped. 1 and 2. Viloria has enough skills that even if he
Let me correct you. When he lost the flyweight belt to Mora, it was actually by stoppage.
Okay.
Barely. Barely.
Right. But with Viloria, though, that's true. But with Viloria, I know he has sufficient skill that it's going to give Gonzalez some problems. Okay? Because you turn Gonzalez, and that makes a difference. Now, if Gonzalez can turn you, because Gonzalez also pivots quite well. But if you can turn Gonzalez the way you want him to turn, you can do something in that fight. So it really is. I know Viloria is a good fighter, and what I wanted to say was, even if he gets older, the thing about certain kinds of boxers, not every kind of boxer, some boxers move too much, but the boxers who know how to use certain skill sets, they actually last very long in the game. They actually can box all the way up into their 40s if they want to. So even though Viloria has diminished some, it's more about his mindset than it is going to be about his physical capacity. The question will be, just like with Paulie Malignaggi. Paulie Malignaggi is a guy, he has these skill sets that allow him, even if he does slow down a bit, to still be able to beat an opponent, because it's not just about how fast you move. It's about the angle of approach. You understand? So in boxing, that's the key. So that's what makes the Viloria matchup with Roman Gonzalez intriguing to me, because I know he was beaten by Estrada and by Sosa. And Sosa is a style kind of like boxer, kind of pressure fighter. So they're all kind of, well, not Estrada, but Gonzalez and Sosa, they have something in common. So it's interesting to see what would happen. Would Gonzalez stop him? Would Gonzalez be able to beat him, outpoint him, or whatever? Would Viloria give him some problems with his movement? So those are the things that I would like to know. It's very curious, because Viloria is very good. So I would be very curious to see that fight. I'm actually highly intrigued to see it.
Yeah, actually, style-wise, Viloria, like as I said before, he could give Gonzalez problems. I don't think he would beat him, but he could give him some problems, particularly on against Estrada. Again, I just think that Estrada, skill-wise, he does a lot of the same things. See, he couldn't turn. He wouldn't be able to turn an Estrada like he could possibly turn.
No way.
No way.
No.
And plus, he's a more skilled guy with the jab than Gonzalez is at this point. I just don't see him beating him. But I'll go to you on this one, Gail. How much?
Because
go ahead. What you need?
Because Estrada is a boxer like Viloria.
Mm-hmm. That's why I say he does everything that Viloria does, and at this point, I think he does it better.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, I think so.
What's the possibility of Viloria landing in the Roman Gonzalez sweepstakes to get that fight on the Triple G undercard, Gail?
I don't know about the. It's an interesting matchup. I think that fight would do better overall if it was staged in Southern California. Viloria is Filipino by ethnicity, so he's got a big following on the West Coast. I'm not quite sure if he'd have that same pickup in New York. And Gonzalez was wildly well received in Los Angeles. I mean, just, they would have carried him out on their shoulders if they'd let the crowd do it. They were thrilled with him, and he was treated very, very well. So a fight staged in Los Angeles between Viloria and Gonzalez would be a blockbuster. But if we're talking about making the fight on the GGG undercard, I think Estrada probably has the lead on getting that fight, the rematch with Chocolatito. But it's not a bad fight. It's not a bad fight at all. I'd love to see it. But I think it would do better in LA. To the age issue, I mean, the guy's only 34 years old. It's not like he's, 42 or 50. He's only 34. He's only boxed like 310 rounds. It's not outrageous. And, it's going to sound like a strange comparison, but in the dog world, smaller dogs live a lot longer than bigger dogs. In general, they have a lot less physical problems and they're healthier. Well, I'm here to say that I think a lot of the smaller fighters have a longer shelf life than the bigger guys. They just do. So I'm not concerned about Viloria's age or wear and tear on him. He said very well. He's, as you mentioned, he's been stopped, outright only once, and that was only a minute and 15 seconds before a 12-round fight was over. It was in the well into the 12th round when he got stopped. So I'm pleased to see him get this performance under his belt. He hasn't been super active the last year or two. He is the #1 ranked American in that weight class. Not there's a whole lot of American guys at 112, but he is the #1 guy. So there's a lot of good possibilities for him. It's so interesting to me that we're seeing the resurrection of the very smallest weight classes and their very largest weight classes right now in boxing.
Yeah, indeed. Let's move on to the news. I'm going to combine two news stories into one here. We're going to talk about both kind of at the same time. Last week we talked about the rumor of Gennady Golovkin fighting David Lemieux. While we were off, news broke Saturday night on the Kovalev card that the fight indeed was happening. Fight is going to happen October 17th. I think at the big room at MSG, pay-per-view bout. Also, there are rumors that I heard actually 2 days ago that negotiations are very good for a possibility of a Miguel Cotto Canelo Alvarez bout for November 22nd. Not sure where exactly, but it looks like that fight may happen at that date. I'll go to you on this one, Sean. We talked about the Lemieux Triple G bout, and we talked about it before the show. Your thoughts on this bout being official now?
Great. A fun fight. Isn't that what we want in boxing? A fun fight. You put GGG in with Lemieux. What people fail to talk about is this is a unification fight. A unification fight at 160. What's better than that? You're getting a guy who people have been criticizing about the competition he's fought, and now he's in there having a unification fight against the hard puncher. But still people are critical. I mean, I don't know what people want. This fight is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a great fight. People have been critical of GGG, even promoters and some trainers. Promoters, I mean like De La Hoya, who basically, is coming from a boxer's perspective. But he even thought about coming back to fight GGG because he thinks that when you get him moving backwards, he's ineffective, and he's not able to fight moving backwards. This is a guy with 400 amateur fights, but nonetheless, he can't fight moving backwards. So people are saying. So who else at this weight is going to be able to move him backwards? But a guy like David Lemieux, who is a come forward, throw it two hands fighter, a strong jab to get on the inside, a big body puncher. He is going to move GGG backwards. This is going to be a fight that tests him and shows us what he has. If he knocks Lemieux out in 4 rounds, people are going to say, well, see what we told you. He's not good. But that's not specifically the case in any time. Styles make fights. If the guy comes forward, it's more likely somebody's going to get knocked down. That's what happens. If he was going to move around, if it was Endam and he was circling on the outside behind a long jab, then the fight probably wouldn't be a quick knockout. But this one, it's going to be a barn burner. Both guys could get knocked down. Who knows what's going to happen? These are two powerful punchers who are in good form right now, and that's what matters, and that's what people aren't talking about. You can talk about how Rubio beat Lemieux 3 years ago, but at this point, Lemieux is on the rise.
Excuse me.
He's fighting well. He fought great against Endam. You can say Quillen beat Endam better, but I don't know. I think Lemieux was far more dominating throughout that whole fight than Quillen was. But needless to say, they both won, and they're both top-level 160 guys who we want to see fight GGG. And here we have one of them in the ring with them. So, come on. That's excellent. Excellent. And I'm excited about it. And I'm not upset it's pay-per-view, even though I do live in Taiwan, so it sort of doesn't affect me one way or the other. I wish I could pay for pay-per-view. I would get a better stream, right? But unfortunately, that doesn't happen. But this is a fight I would have no problem paying for. Also because it has a great undercard. People are quick to hate, but come on. This is going to be a fight that is going to be exciting. It's going to have an undercard that's going to be exciting. So it's just going to be win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking to the undercard, now we mentioned Roman Gonzalez is going to be fighting on the undercard, but also Amir Imam, who we talked about a lot last week, we were highly impressed with. He's going to be fighting on the undercard as well. I'm going to go to you, what you need, and then you can chime in as well, Taisha. We talked about, Sean mentioned the fact that it's going to be on pay-per-view. We had a kind of a back and forth discussion on that. What you need in Taisha about whether it should be a pay-per-view bout, whether it's or whether it should be on HBO. I want to bring that discussion to light here. Your thoughts on about being on pay-per-view? Do you think it should be on pay-per-view? Do you think it should have waited, be on HBO? Let's bring that discussion we had before the show. What you need? Talk about it here right now. First, what you need, and then you, Taisha.
I'll just be real brief. If the undercard is stacked like that, yeah, pay-per-view, sure, why not? I mean, why not? You know, I'm not really arguing it too much. If you got Amir Iman, you got Roman Gonzalez, and you got Triple G, shoot, I'll pay for that. I'm sorry, man, I'm gonna pay for that. So yeah, that's basically it.
Your thoughts on the fight, Taisha? I know your mouth is watering for you. You like this.
Yeah. That's basically if that's the actual card that's being given to us, that's easily card of the year right there. I mean, you have a lot of explosive fights right there. I mean, what fight fan, casual, people who don't even know, just breezing through the TV channels, seeing that, like, oh man, that's a lot of, I know those names. This is going to be a popping card for this date. It deserves to be on pay-per-view. People are complaining that, you know, Gennady's not pay-per-view material yet. How do we know what he is until we let the man try? You can't become something if you don't stick your feet out there and try. You understand what I'm saying? And I think for this card, this is a great card to push it for him. You understand what I'm saying? And also to give these other fighters some great exposure. Everybody's going to chime in, no matter whether it's free or not. Everybody's going to chime in to see Triple G fight Lemieux. Whereas now everybody's going to chime in to see Triple G fight Lemieux and Roman Gonzalez fight. And then they're getting the treat to see Amir Iman fight. Oh my God. Like, I'm salivating here. Like, this needs to happen tomorrow. Who's fighting tomorrow? I don't know, because I'm thinking about this fucking card right now. You understand what I'm saying? This is how exciting this is for me, and I'm sure a lot of other people are feeling the same sentiment. This is going to be the fight card of the year, and it's going to be well worth whatever amount they're asking us to pay. I mean, if you could pay whatever you paid for the fight back in May, I'm not going to mention any names, for that card, you can spring a few for this one, and that's all I got to say.
Your thoughts on the Lemieux, or Triple G Lemieux card, fight, Gil, and the card itself, as well as the negotiations ongoing between Canelo and Miguel Cotto.
Christmas has come early for boxing fans. We must all have been really good little girls and boys, because this is great stuff. Who couldn't be enthused about this? You know, what we've got here is essentially a middleweight, a little middleweight tournament going on, because you have GGG and Lemieux, and you have Cotto Canelo, and the two winners are very likely to square off. And that's even more exciting. And we have a lot to look forward to. And Taisha, you're damn right. Card of the year. If these fights all flush out the way that they're being advertised, fight card of the year. And this will resurrect the whole discussion about undercards don't matter, blah, blah, blah. They do matter. They really do, especially at this level. I'm just picking up some information out of the camps that they promise that the fight, at least in the U.S., will be priced under the $60 range. So, of course, we're talking about $59.95. That's a very fair price for most folks. It's not going to be the stratospheric price that we saw for Mayweather, nothing like that. Heck, those people burn $60 doing much more stupid stuff than watching a fight card like this. So save your pennies, everybody. It's well worth it. They're estimate for what they would consider a successful buy is very modest. They'll get it, and then that is going to put them in a much better position for this de facto middleweight tournament, because whoever wins, Cotto versus Canelo, Canelo's camp, I think it matters a little less, because I think De La Hoya would love to see this be Canelo and GGG. But if it is going to end up being Cotto and GGG, in that combination, he is going to need the leverage of saying, hey, I was a pay-per-view draw at this level up against Cotto's camp, because we know how Cotto is about, the A side and the B side and all that. So.
Oh, he's a diva now. He's a diva.
No, he's a full-fledged diva with capital D, and he is also going to want to do the fight at MSG. And so if Golovkin can fill the big room, or close, which I'm sure he will, and do a very decent pay-per-view, K2 will be in a very good position to negotiate with Cotto's folks. It's a little less with De La Hoya. He's doing very, and of course, it doesn't really mean that much from that end. If Lemieux is the winner, he is going to end up being the B side to Cotto or Canelo no matter what. But he will still need to demonstrate some draw, and unfortunately, because of the really a stupid decision of HBO not to pick up this fight and prime the pump, he ends up fighting, virtually in obscurity. Barely 150,000 households in the United States saw that fight live. That is a travesty, and fight fans should be very embarrassed. Everyone who wasn't one of those 150. I understand it took a hell of a lot of effort to find that fight, but I did, and it was worth every minute of it. And if you didn't see the whole fight, you've got a lot of time between now and October 16th. Do yourself a favor and go back and watch Lemieux and Andam. For me, that's the fight of the year so far. It really is a spectacular fight. Very entertaining.
Anybody have any other words before we move on to previewing what's coming up?
Anyone thinks? Oh, go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say they're also talking about Brian Jennings against Luis Ortiz on that undercard as well.
Right.
So I mean, come on. It is by far the best card we've had probably in the last 3 years. I mean, it's a great card from top to bottom.
Think about it. When can you remember a better card at all in modern history?
Well, going back to the Don King days during the 90s.
Yes.
That'd have to be it. Yeah. Not this century.
Taisha, what you need? Any last words before we move on?
I was just gonna ask: does anyone think that that card that we're speaking about, any of you think that it will come anywhere close to the numbers that Maypock sold?
No.
No.
The one-time casual fans, let's have a party, aren't going to buy this, but every fight fan in America is going to buy this. And,
okay.
I think, K2 feels that 700,000 buys would be very good for them. I think they could close in close to 1 million. A decent, a really big buy, approaches more of the, in the 1.52 range, and then of course you had Maypac, which that really isn't apropos of anything. And we have to also remember, out of that camp, out of the Mayweather-Pacquiao Fairweather group, a lot of them feel very burned by that pay-per-view, and they're not going to buy one again anytime soon.
True. I just hope that they do a lot of promotions for this one, get it out there. I don't remember what the last fight was that had zero hype behind it, but it was nothing leading up. And see, I can't even remember it because there was no hype, no promotional, nothing. I didn't see much about it on TV, not much about it on social media. And then Saturday, the fight was here, and then that's all I can remember. I don't even remember who the fight was.
De La Hoya has already made the rounds at ESPN. ESPN is very much likes Golovkin. Golovkin even shows up on ESPN Deportes, which just is hilarious. See him there, and Lemieux will make the rounds. They're going to do a. They've talked already about doing a media tour.
If
Hate her with promotion. So is Oscar.
if De La Hoya's, if Golden Boy is smart, they would re-air the Lemieux and Dom fight a couple of times before that bout. Not on Fox Sports 2, where I saw it the first time live, but on Fox Sports 1 or any avenue they can find. They need to air that fight again to make so everybody can see it. Because if you see the fight, you will boom. People will catch on and say, look at him, just look at him and say, this guy, he has a decent chance to give Triple G some problems here. That's what they should do.
Hey, you need to send Oscar a tweet about that, and he does watch his Twitter feed, but I think he's probably way ahead of us. He's got his Golden Boy Live program that he airs, in off hours on all the Fox Sports channels, and no reason he shouldn't just roll it there.
Also, some new news as well. The Cotto-Canelo fight, which I'm surprised is not getting even more hype just because of how close it is. That just shows you the GGG Lemieux fight, how much it is getting pushed. That, we're basically ignoring that fight and it's become secondary. But I mean, that is a great fight. And I mean, that will sell probably 2.5 million, I would think, if it's pushed properly. I mean, it's huge, huge. But that fight is supposed to be in Mandalay Bay because they're refusing to fight in MGM because it's just Floyd's backyard. So they're getting some hate because of that. But from the same side, I can understand, because remember that Manny had his big fight at MGM, and then they posted Floyd Mayweather fight posters over top of his before the fight. So, like, why would they want to fucking deal with MGM? I mean...
Yeah. Oscar has a long-standing relationship with Mandalay Bay, so...
Any thoughts on this? Go ahead, Taisha. Go ahead.
I don't think it's not that no one's talking about the Cotto-Canelo fight. It's the fact that we all know how Cotto is. So we're just sitting around waiting for his prima donna bitchness to, manifest, and for the fight to actually, be thrown in the oven and baked out and served to us. So I don't think it's the fact that, we're not talking about it, because obviously we are excited to see this fight actually happen, but the fact that it's not already signed, sealed, and delivered, we know it's some Cotto bitch shit happening right now. So we're keeping our eye on the prize that's already signed, sealed, delivered, and ready to go. We're excited about this one because we don't even know if this one's gonna be, even be presented to it. Cotto can pull out like, nope, don't want to do it. Sorry guys, you didn't meet all of my fucking glitter, glamour demands and shit. You use pink nail polish and I said blue raspberry. Some kind of bullshit he'll do.
Any last words to sum this up? What you need?
Me?
Yeah.
Man, Cotto can do whatever the hell he want to do because he earned that right as far as I'm concerned, so I don't care. I mean, Floyd does the same thing. I mean, Floyd, right now, he ain't known it's nobody. You know what I mean? So I guess they have reached that level in the sport where they're like, fuck y'all, I'll do what I want to do. I'll move when I want to move. Y'all had to wait on me. So,
and with that attitude, that's why they're not getting the hype that Sean's talking about right now. That's why we're all hyped over GGG and Lemieux.
But the thing about Cotto though is he is hype. I mean, you just mentioned Miguel Cotto. Everybody knows who he is. So it's like they know the problem. The thing with these guys is they know that they're bigger than belts. They know it's their name. They know I'm Miguel Cotto. Like Miguel Cotto, he got an ego because he's Miguel Cotto. Floyd is like, I'm Floyd. Manny Pacquiao's Manny Pacquiao again. Those are huge names in boxing. There's nobody bigger than those three guys. I mean, even Klitschko, who I think should be there, he's a big name in the heavyweight division. He's not as big as those guys. So, it's just what it is. That's the thing about the sport.
Yeah, he's a big bitch with all these funky demands. Just fucking fight and get it over with.
These guys are huge. These guys are huge. I hear you. I mean, these guys are huge guys, but I don't know how much they'll do in pay-per-view sales. Even Golovkin, Lemieux, I don't know. That's the thing. Like I was saying to you guys, I'm just being realistic that I don't know how big. The cards are great, but almost everybody on those cards, they're not really known by casual fans. So HBO needs to do a great PR job of creating a great storyline and seeing how much they can get off. Because even if it's a great card, it doesn't translate necessarily into huge pay-per-view. So you gotta work that PR from now till the day to try and get, maybe 500. 500 is overrating it, but if you can get above 300 pay-per-view, I'm cool. Because it's the first time. It's the first pay-per-view. It's the first pay-per-view, so I can't knock them.
But what you need at the same time, you gotta spend money to make money, right?
Right. I promise you, I bet it won't be another week before we all start getting the notices of, hey, here's the first round of, media events with these guys, and De La Hoya's going to, and De La Hoya's going to be promoting his other stuff, his lower level stuff in L.A., and believe me, every single time he has a card, he's going to be talking about this stuff coming up, and he's having a real good year. And I'm glad.
Because he's got Canelo and he got Lemieux. He got two golden gooses.
Yeah. And to his credit too, which you might not have caught, De La Hoya has been very, very visible in LA during the Special Olympics, the World Special Olympics. He participated in the opening ceremonies. He walked in with the team from Mexico. He's been there a lot, and good for him. Good for him. He seems to have settled down. Some of his substance issues seem very much behind him. And
For now.
But you know what? When things are going good for Oscar, things go great. So, well, I wish him well.
All I ask
for us.
All I ask before we move on, if there's an early morning, early afternoon conference call worldwide, email me. That's all I ask because I want to be a part of it.
I'll let you know. You got it.
I think he's going to do well with his company because he's got some of them young cats coming up. They look good, Yeah, and he really finds good.
He's doing really well right now, and he's doing some low-level local stuff in LA, and I like seeing that stuff. That breeds fight fans. That gets people to the low-cost in-person cards. Right. People who've never been to boxing before, and they think, "Damn, this is exciting. This is fun, right. And I want to get into this more." And developing the fan base, he's very, very good at it. And say what you will about his problems and so forth, he has a very, very devoted set of people who believe in him in Southern California.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it's good for him.
Yeah, let's move on. I agree with you. I'll end on this one. I will end by agreeing with what you need here. They need to do as much promotion as they can, and somehow air the Lemieux. I'm talking about the Triple G Lemieux fight.
I know.
Air the Lemieux fight. I don't care if it was on Fox Sports 1 or make a deal with HBO so they could air it before the fight. But they need to They need to publicize both guys heading into this if they want to pull the numbers they want. That's all.
Because the demographics is everything. With Cotto versus Canelo, it's Mexico versus Puerto Rico. That's like.
You didn't have to promote much for there.
You don't have to promote nothing. You know what I mean?
They're all going to start it up on Twitter and on YouTube channels, and they'll do it for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they get past 1.1 pay-per-view buys, that's really good again because both guys usually do average like 300 pay-per-view buys. Yeah. With their names. So I mean that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that does well. Now remember, Lemieux's not really Latin or Mexican so you got to think about all those things. And Triple G is a Mexican style fighter, so we got him. We just need Lemieux now to be. You got to stay strong. He comes forward. He doesn't back down. You got to paint that picture for the demographic to really buy into it.
Yeah, let's move on and talk about the fights that's happening this weekend. Really kind of a light, tame weekend of boxing.
Why?
Yeah, because it's there, unfortunately. It's there. It's there. Headline, of course, is the PBC on NBC card happening Saturday in NYC on PBC on ESPN. I'm sorry, PBC on ESPN. Headline by Danny Garcia fighting Paulie Malignaggi. Look, why Malignaggi is in the ring again, I don't know, but he's there fighting Garcia, who needs some kind of resurgence following a lot of folks felt he lost against Lamont Peterson. A lot of people still are salty over, I don't care what he says, that loss against Herrera a couple of years
back. Count me salty.
Yeah. So he has not looked good, and that Salco fight that doesn't count. He was a junior light. He was really a junior lightweight there. Nobody counts that fight. So he
I
needs
think the Salka fight really hurt him, man. That's where the cherry picker thing came from.
Yeah, that was shameful, and I don't shout out the sanctioning body as much, but kudos to him for the sanctioning bodies when I sanction it as a world title bout, because that was farcical. But yeah, he's fighting Paulie Malignaggi Saturday, welterweight bout, 12 rounds. On the undercard of that is Jacobs and Mora. Again, we're going to combine two fights into one here. I'm gonna go to you, Sean, since we hadn't heard from you in a while. Your thoughts on these two bouts, the Garcia Malignaggi bout, as well as the Jacobs Sergio Mora bout, and Garcia stepping up to welterweight.
Well, Paulie is the stepping stone, isn't he? I mean, a 147 guy who everyone picks on before they move to top-level competition. You know, you got to give it to Paulie. I mean, I'm surprised after getting his ass beat down by Porter that he wants any more. But he's got confidence. You know, I would be happy if he won. Maybe then he would fight Manny his next fight. But
yeah, you heard the crickets on that, Sean. So yeah,
who's a troll this week?
You heard the silence on that. Don't get muted now. Don't get muted.
So we know what's going to happen. I mean, I think Danny's going to come in strong, man, and he's just going to walk through Paulie, and I don't see Paulie going 8 rounds. He's done. And this is going to put him into retirement indefinitely.
And as far as the Danny Jacobs and Mora, do you give Mora any kind of shot here?
Well, Mora, he's the type of fighter that's ugly, and he's slick, and he knows how to fight. He never has lost a fight badly. I mean, he's never won a fight well either, but I mean, he's never got his ass beat. You know, he's able to go 12 rounds with anybody and nullify a lot of their offense and make them look bad in the process. That's why people don't want to fight him, because I mean, that's the way he is. That's why even after big wins against guys like Mosley, he didn't get any shine. And now Jacobs fighting another guy that basically, you know, he's defending his title again against a guy who might be tougher than he expects. But you know, at this point in careers, Jacobs is fast and sharp and has some pop. I mean, I think he's just going to be too much for Mora. I mean, Mora obviously is going to make it a tough fight, and the fight will probably go 12 rounds because of the way he is. But I think Jacobs wins easily. I mean, his last fight, he didn't go in as a power puncher. He went in a lot more as a boxer and really showed skills and showed that he's tough at that weight because he's fast and sharp. And against any of the top guys, I mean, he would give them a tough fight, except that, you know, I don't know how good his chin is, which is probably smart that he's went away from being the power puncher and went into being more of a boxer, because it'll probably be better for his career long term. But I expect him to win easily. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a fun fight to watch because the way the snake fights. But, you know, if Garcia can landslide Paulie, then at least we have one big fight to offset the other one. But if Paulie still has any gas in his tank and makes that an ugly fight too, which a lot of people are predicting because, you know, Garcia's had tough fights with 2 slick boxers in his last 3 fights, you know, losing to Herrera and losing to Peterson. And now he steps in there with Paulie, who isn't really bigger than either one of those guys. So, I mean, but Danny's going to be bigger. So we will see. I mean, it could be a snoozer on both fronts, which would be terrible, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too upset about it.
Well, that's my problem. I'm fearing that both of these fights will be snoozers. I'll go to you on this one, Gail. Your thoughts on these two bouts, Garcia versus Malignaggi and Jacobs versus Sergio Mora.
I think both of these are going to be messy, messy, messy fights. And it is in the best interest of both Paulie and Mora to make them messy. And the more that they can brawl and, you know, pull their dirty tricks, I hope they've both watched a lot of old Bernard Hopkins fights, you know, because they can use all of Bernard's tactics, and that's their best shot at both prevailing over Garcia and prevailing over Daniel Jacobs. And I think Jacobs wins fairly handily. I probably give more or less of a chance against Jacob than I give Paulie against Garcia, because Garcia is coming up in weight, and he's had some really just not the greatest performances. I mean, you know, when he came on and first became a name and was making his way, he looked great, very impressive. And then all of a sudden, we talk about your stock rising and your stock, dropping. God, Garcia's stock has been dropping. He is on the downswing. There's no if you're one of those buyers that waits for the stock to drop, you can buy now because it's dropped. And maybe it goes up after Saturday, and you get the payoff. That's what everyone's hoping. There's certain things I just am liking less and less about the way Garcia operates, and part of it is his father, who's just. Some of these guys need to cut daddy loose. Adrian Broner needs to cut daddy loose. Danny Garcia needs to cut his dad loose.
The Puerto Rican Archie Bunker. The Puerto Rican Archie Bunker.
Needs to cut. I mean, these guys all need to cut dad loose. I mean, give him a check and make him go away, for God's sakes. And Angel was doing his usual stuff at the news conference earlier today, and Danny's position has been, I know my dad shit talks, and so far I've been able to back it up. Well, that's not a real good attitude. I mean, we'll see if it's working for him, but he needs to do more than just win this weekend. Danny needs to have a really good performance, or his stock will not rise. A mere win will not do it. For Paulie, he's in a really good position. That guy has a great job. He has turned out to be a superb analyst, and I would never in a million years have thought he'd come along and be as good as he is when he started. Just, in his last few fights, he had a real nasty mouth on him. There was some really bad stuff going on, and talking about so-and-so's women and this and that kind of stuff. It got nasty. Not just I'm going to clean your clock, sort of kick your ass nasty. But he's turned into a great analyst. He's smart. He knows how to explain what he's seeing to the average viewer, and that is the genius of a really good boxing analyst. So, win or lose, Paulie has a great gig going. He's busy. He's working not only in the U.S., he works for Sky Sports in Britain. He's set. So if he wins, we have a real dilemma on our hands, because he's coming into the busy fall fight season as far as his analyst job goes. But if he wins, he's going to need to capitalize on the fight. What the hell is he going to do? He's going to need to stop and train for another big fight. If he's smart, either before the end of the year or right at the beginning of the next year. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Paulie. And no matter what, the post-fight interview is likely to be epic. So don't miss it.
I'll go to you on what you need. Gail mentioned how Garcia, his momentum has kind of been on a downswing really since the Matisse bout, his best performance of his career. His last few bouts, he has not looked good. He needs to perform well. He really needs to stop Malignaggi. The problem is what you need. For me, I don't think that he has. How can I put this? Porter, when he beat Malignaggi, he beat him up in really an emphatic fashion. I just don't see Garcia in terms of what he can do. I just don't see him putting on that kind of emphatic performance against Malignaggi, because they're two different fighters. So your thoughts on this bout? Your thoughts on this bout, as well as the Mora Jacobs bout, but focus first and foremost on the Malignaggi Garcia bout, because I think early on, particularly, because of the different because of the style matchups, I think that Malignaggi can give Garcia some problems early on. It can take this bout some rounds.
Absolutely agree with you, man. Styles make fights. Styles make fights. And yes, no. Honestly speaking, Paulie is not the same style as Herrera. And he's not the same style as Lamont Peterson, right? They're completely different styles. But in terms of general speaking, they're both boxer, mover guys, right? But Peterson's a weird dude, because he starts off boxing, then he ends up pressure fighting at the end, right? He comes on strong later on. But anyway, with Paulie, what's intriguing to me is Paulie is not just, you know, like Paulie was saying, I'm not just a jabber. Anybody could be a jabber, right? He said, I know so many things in boxing. And if you really look at Paulie's fights, even when he fought Miguel Cotto, he employed, you know, certain things in that fight that allowed him to do a lot of things Cotto didn't expect, right? So Danny Garcia, people don't know this, but Danny Garcia is more like Juan Manuel Marquez. He's a counterpuncher, actually.
Pot shotter more than anything than a true counterpuncher.
And a pot shotter to chase you down. So he finds you by pot shotting. So what he does is he searches, and then he slides in with that straight right to the body. Beautiful stuff. Sometimes he slides in with a straight left to the body. But like Eric Bradley, the fight doctor, was saying on Master Boxing, he comes up with that 4-punch combination to the body, and then he ends it off with the left hook to the head. So what Paulie Malignaggi is going to be doing is he's going to be circling to his left, away from the power shot. And when he throws any shots or combinations, he's going to roll under the shot, pivoting to his left. So I could see how Paulie, he's going to try and negate Danny's power, and also look out for that overhand right, that straight right that Danny usually throws. Now the thing with Danny is just moved up to 147, so he got more energy. He's going to have more explosiveness, and he's going to have a little bit more quickness, and you're going to see his foot speed change as well. He's going to be now. Danny's a guy. People say he's flat-footed. He's not flat-footed. He slides. Danny slides. Danny's the most deceptive boxer I've ever seen in that respect. In that, because when you watching a Danny, you don't know that he just slid into you. You didn't realize he closed the distance on you because he slides. He doesn't pick up his feet. He slides across. So that's the thing for Paulie to look for, that deceptive speed. And the other thing Paulie has to look for, if he really wants to give Danny some problems, is Danny gonna borrow a page out of Sean Porter. He's gonna use the shotgun jab to get in, right? He's gonna close the distance with the shotgun jab, and when Paulie gets frozen up, he's gonna land them combinations on him and try and catch him with the left hook. So Paulie got caught off guard with Sean Porter. I think Paulie didn't expect so much power from Sean Porter when he was fighting him. That's why Paulie, you remember Paulie said, Sean, I was surprised by his power. You know, I didn't expect, you know, I know he was a mauler, but I didn't expect him to be able to hit me so hard. I think in this case, Paulie, if you look at Paulie been training like crazy. You see Paulie? He looked fit like, I never seen Paulie like that in a long time. So I'm just saying to you guys, Paulie's expecting everything from Danny Garcia. And don't be surprised if Paulie pulls a win this fight tonight, but Danny gets the decision. Don't be surprised if that happens, right? I'm just saying. I'm just watching on what's happening. I'm just saying, pay attention to that. That's all I'm saying, right? And with the Sergio, but by the way, my caveat is Danny's a hell of a fighter. I don't think Danny has dealt with boxers before, and I don't think that Danny can't make the adjustments later down the stretch to offset what Paulie might be doing. But Paulie's going to throw a lot of tricks in there to keep Danny more on the back foot than the front foot. He's gonna. What I think Paulie's gonna do is he's gonna box Danny's. He's gonna try to box Danny's ears off early, control the pace of the fight, and control the action of the fight. And then later on, he's gonna try and drown Danny because he realizes later on in the fight, Danny sometimes he doesn't pace himself. And if he's going for a knockout in 4 rounds, if Danny ain't smart and he's trying to go for that, you might be shocked with seeing feather-fisted Paulie giving Danny the work later down the stretch. I'm just telling you guys. I'm just telling you what I see, right? So
plus Danny has a tendency to square up as the fight goes along.
Yeah, and he kind of gasses in the middle rounds, but he sucks it up. Danny is a hell of a fighter. I'm telling you guys. He sucks it up, and he keeps going. So it's not going to be easy to beat Danny Garcia because Danny Garcia, he looks to win 7 rounds of every fight. He says target is 7 rounds of every fight. Then after that, you can do whatever you want. I'm gonna survive. So it's going to be tough to beat Danny, but at the same time, Paulie has those tools, and that veteran experience is going to play a role in this fight. It's very intriguing to me because I'm telling you, Danny's kryptonite is those kinds of boxes. Those kinds of boxes. This is kryptonite. But Danny's very smart too. So this is going to be a fun fight for me, not for the casual fan because they're not going to be understanding half of the things. Because when they don't see a lot of punches landing, people get kind of disgusted. But for me, I understand it's a play where the guy's fitting into a slot, so you miss, and then he's going to try to fit into that slot to get you, but you slip out of the slot. the target shifts and he misses. You know what I'm saying? It's sick. It's like warfare. It's like you got this you on in this airplane trying to chase down another airplane to shoot them down. You know what I mean? But the airplane, just before you just lock into the guy and then he moves out of focus, so you fire and you miss. That's what's going to go on in that fight. It's going to be crazy like that. Now with Sergio Mora versus Danny Jacobs, another Danny. Danny Jacobs dealt with Pirog. You guys remember Pirog?
Yes.
Well, for those of you who know boxing, you know Pirog. Now, Sergio Mora is going to remind Danny Jacobs of Pirog. He's going to remind Danny Jacobs of Remember, I said it, right? I said it first. That's what Sergio Mora's goal is. That's his goal, right? So Sergio Mora, he's not looking for the knockout per se. If it comes, it comes. But he knows what to do to get that knockout. There's a formula to get that knockout. That's all I got to tell you guys. I'm not going to say no more. If it was John David Jackson, he'd say the same thing, right? So that's all I got to say on that. Danny Garcia is a hell of a boxer. If Danny Garcia hears this thing, take note of that in the back of his mind so you know what to do about that, right? I see him getting a decision win over Sergio Mora, but Sergio Mora, I think he's going to redeem himself in this fight, if possible, and make people become fans of him, because in this PBVC series, the underdogs have been live. They've been live fight after fight after fight, and people are saying the guys who are supposed to win easily, they're being disappointed. But you got to count the underdogs. You got to count these live underdogs. Chris Arreola, he had a live underdog, and that dude wasn't going nowhere, and he outboxed Chris Arreola, some people will argue. I think these live underdogs are going to come and bring it, and we're going to see if these stars could stand up to the test. You know, we're going to see. That's
Indeed.
All I got to say on that.
Indeed. So you heard it here first from What You Need. He gives the underdogs here a real chance in both of these fights. I'm going to close things out and go to you, Taisha. Your thoughts on these two fights, Danny Garcia and Malignaggi, as well as Daniel Jacobs and the Latin Snake.
I don't like Danny.
No, it took all the rest of us 10 minutes, and Taisha said it in 3 words.
No, but here's what's gonna happen with Garcia versus Malignaggi. No matter what Paulie does, he doesn't have the power to knock out Garcia, and we all know that he's not going to get a decision against Garcia no matter what happens. Is Paulie going to give Garcia fits in there? Of course he is. The dude is hands down one of the best jabbers I've ever seen in my time of watching boxing. Not you guys' time, my time watching boxing, from when I became a die-hard boxing fan. Paulie uses the jab and his feet like no other, and it's meaningful jabs. You know, it's jabs to set up something, not just a slap to your face. He's thinking in there what he's going to do next. So with that being said, I think Paulie's going to take him into the trenches for the simple fact we all know that Danny gasses out midway through his fights. And then we would have to see if Paulie has what it takes to pull an upset in our hearts and minds, because we know it's not going to come on the cards. Moving on past that, Mora versus Jacobs, another fight I don't really care about. I love Sergio Mora. I've been a fan of his for a while. I just don't think that, like Sean said, I don't think he's gonna present enough danger for Jacobs to be tentative in there. I think Jacobs is gonna come out there. He's gonna do his typical shit that he does for the first 2 rounds, and then he's going to be a bully. Now, hold on. Let me go back to the Garcia fight. I think Garcia is also going to try to pull a page out of Porter's book, and I think he's going to try to bully Malignaggi, because that's still fresh in Paulie's mind. You know what I'm saying? Getting the shit stumped out of him on national TV like he did. Even I, as a boxer, would try to bully him the same way to bring those thoughts back to the front of his brain so he can, feel some insecurities about the fight. You understand what I'm saying? But moving back to the Sergio Mora's fight, I also don't think he's gonna get a decision, and I think both cards are gonna go to the judges, and it's gonna be the same disappointing shit that we've been seeing over the past few months of boxing. The judges giving the so-called A side the Oprah gift, the Oprah treatment, and because of that, I'm not even intrigued about the fights. Do I want to see Mora win? Yes. Do I want to see Malignaggi win? Of course. I don't like Danny Garcia. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let it be.
What she said.
Yeah, so she just made it plain. Don't like Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia, he's a little bit overrated as a fighter, but
I wasn't rude about it. I just said I don't like him. And it's not that I don't like him as a boxer. I respect the man's talents. You know what I'm saying? What I don't like is the shit that's surrounding him. How he always gets the push gift. How everything always seems to go his way when he looks so shitty. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't add up to me. The gifts that he's getting doesn't add. He's not a good boy. You understand what I'm saying? He doesn't deserve these gifts. He's not being a good fucking boy. These gifts aren't warranted to the things that he's done. So it makes me dislike watching him as a boxer because I already know in my mind it's going to be the same dumb shit. Now, before he signed with Al Heyman, I don't know if it's just the Al Heyman treatment thing that's going on, but I used to dig him, like when he fought Amir Khan. I would tell you hands down today, that was one of my favorite fights I've seen because he punched Amir Khan in the mouth and made him fall down. Thank you, Danny, for that. But other than that, I don't like you.
in spite of that, I think he is a bit overrated. He is not as good as he looked against Batista. He's just not. He's not as good as he looked against Khan. It was kind of made for Garcia's style, but once you saw Garcia against different,
I think it was a fluke.
I'm not gonna go there, but I would just say that once he was put in the ring against different styles, different skill set, he got a bit exposed. I can't get the Herrera bout out of my mind. He probably was having issues with making weight, but again, it was what Herrera was doing to him more than the weight issues that was cause for concern with me. And from there, it's like, I just don't see anything special. And again, as much as I have a problem with Garcia in terms of style-wise, he's a decent fighter. But again, my problem is with Angel and how he conducts himself and how he acts like a damn fool often before and after a fight. And one of these days, he's gonna be in there against a fellow trainer or a fighter who's going to punch him in the mouth, who's not going to give a damn about his bombastic attitude, and he's what Roger Mayweather did with Lou Duva back in the day. One of these days, he's going to run up. What Alton Murchison did with Scully, the trainer of John Ruiz. What Murchison did to him at the weigh-in. Right. He's Angel Garcia. He's cruising for a bruise, and then one of these days, he's going to run up against somebody who's going to say enough is enough. I'm going to knock your ass out.
I want to see him get punched in the mouth too, as well as Guerrero's dad. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we're going to shut the show down. On that note, I'm going to go around the table here. Well, first of all, I know there was some fights overseas that I think Sean or What You Need was going to talk about, so I'm going to give you the floor to talk about those fights right quick. Sean, What You Need?
Well, you got Carson Jones versus... Okay, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was going to say, please.
No, you go first. That's all right.
So, since you're talking about Carson Jones, I'll skip him. There's a young heavyweight, Joseph Parker, who's fighting. He's a New Zealand fighter, really coming up the ranks. I mean, still untested against top-level fighters, but I mean, on the rankings, he's right up there in the top 20. And he's fighting an Australian fighter. I can't remember his name, but a veteran, been in with tough guys. shows lots of heart, big puncher, and has some skills. So down under, that's going to be quite the dust up, and it'll be a good fight for Joseph Parker just to show exactly what level he is on, and he's fighting a tough guy, somebody who's not a pushover, finally, and just because the rivalry between Australia and New Zealand, that should be a really big fight there because they really have a rugby nation mentality of hate towards one another. So that should pop up in this fight. I'm not sure if it's in New Zealand or Australia. It's probably in Australia, I would think. But regardless, I mean, it should be quite the good fight.
New Zealand.
It's in New Zealand. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it shows he's the A side. But it should still be a good fight nonetheless. And then there's also the good fight, another one with the same type of anger and hostility behind it. Luke Campbell, a gold medal UK English fighter, is fighting, and he's fighting a wily veteran. And Crolla? No.
Coyle. Tommy Coyle.
Tommy Coyle, who's a veteran, and they have quite the hostility towards one another. And I mean, this is an untested, a prospect who's been moved up quite well, and he's fought some good level fighters, considering he's still pretty new to the game. But this is obviously his biggest step up. But it should also be an opportunity for him to really sort of present himself to the public, kicking this guy's ass. So I expect that Campbell is going to easily walk through him. The Joseph Parker fight, I'm not so sure if it's going to be as easy as a walkthrough. So I'm sort of interested to see how he does in that fight.
Quickly, what you need?
Yeah, you got Brian Rose versus Carson Jones too. Brian Rose, for those of you who don't know, he's the guy that Demetrius Andrade beat, but then he faced Carson Jones. He was stopped early, but some people think prematurely, so they're having a rematch in Yorkshire on Sky Sports. Plus, there's Ricky Burns is reappearing again. He's going to be facing a guy called Prince Ofatsu from Ghana, I think it is, or Uganda. I think Burns should get that one. He should win that fight.
Isn't Burns moving back down to lightweight for that bout?
That bout is at, where is it at? Yeah, I think it's at lightweight. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lightweight fight. I don't know if that's a good thing for Burns because to me he filled out nicely at super lightweight. But the other fights that Gennady Gonzalez is going to be facing Kazuki Hashimoto from Japan. I favor Gonzalez in that fight too. Chris Avalos is going to be facing Ray Perez. And I don't know if you guys want to talk about Rashid Warren versus Carlos Payano. Carlos Payano.
Quickly.
Dominican Republic, Juan Carlos Payano is the featherweight. Bantamweight champion. That's right. He beat I forgot his name right now. Moreno, right. And that's a good fight. So Rashid Warren, big step up for him. Rashid Warren's fast, great amateur, Olympian, and champion. This should be a good matchup.
And for those in the stateside, here in the States, you can find that bout on Bounce TV. I believe the bout's going to air Sunday afternoon, so look for that. And I think we're going to shut the show down on that note. I'm going to go around the panel here. I'm going to go to you, Taisha, first. For folks who want to talk boxing or anything else, let the folks know where they can find you.
KIzzle25 on Twitter. That's me.
Sean Newton, who's all over the place on YouTube. G+, for folks who want to talk boxing with you or anything else, let the folks know where they can hit you up.
Yeah, I'm all over the YTBC. I've just released a few videos if you want to watch them, and hate or love, up to you. So, yeah, I'll see you out there.
I go to you, Gail Falkenthal, Communities Digital News, for folks who want to talk boxing, Game of Thrones, Tour de France, anything else. Let the folks know where they can hit you up.
The tour. We just finished the tour, man. It was epic. And you find me for all of the above on Communities Digital News, which is COMM, Digi, D-I-G-I, News, comdiginews.com. And Sean and I and many others, and EJ Boxing Live, who's not with us tonight, have been in some of the Facebook closed boxing group chats, which have gotten real lively lately. So we invite you into those.
And what you need, join us live from Trinidad for folks who want to talk boxing or anything else. Let folks know if we hit you up and talk about your series that you're doing right now.
Okay, I'm What You Need, and you can find me on YouTube. My name is right there, WATTUNEED. What You Need. I'm doing 3 series right now, but I'm just telling you about one, which is the evolution of boxing. That was a teaser, and the other one is Floyd Mayweather TBE, and the last one will be Jose Luis Castillo versus Roberto Duran, level of opposition. So it should be very interesting as well. And
That's not
Sean immediately responded. So come give your responses on your channels. Come check out my channel. I love any kind of feedback. Bad, good.
Yeah, we
I
had
don't
a
care.
we had a
Just
hot
come.
we had a hot debate about that on EJ Boxing's live channel a couple of weeks back about Jose Luis Castillo and
Oh my God.
Roberto Duran.
You boys are gonna school him.
All right. So you can go ahead and check out my video take on it, so you can see what I'm talking about. Again, I'm talking about skill set, level of opposition. All right, that's what I focus on, and you guys enjoy, man. That's my channel.
And I will be sharing some of What You Need stuff on the Flipboard, on the online magazine on Flipboard. So look for that in the next few weeks upcoming. For folks who want to talk boxing or anything else with me, you know where to find me, Brother JR76 on Twitter. If you want to find all things Pound for Pound Boxing Report, just check out the blog page, p4pboxingreport.wordpress.com. Check the right of the page, and you can find all the links to find us all over social media, all over the interwebs. I probably will not do a show next week because, again, August, I have to say, is a very dry month for boxing. Not much is going on, so I may take the week off. So I want to thank my guest again, Taisha. I want to thank Gail Falkenthal of Communities Digital News, Sean Newton, What You Need. I am Michael. This has been episode 92 of the Pound for Pound Boxing Report. You guys have a good evening. Good night.
Not all.
All right. Peace, everybody.